I have the strength now to carry on the hosting, whatever, fuck. Hey, everybody, welcome to Don't Get Your Hopes Up That Almost Never Was.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. My name is Mike B, a.k.a. Fony, and sitting here next to me is...
Directly next to you.
My buddy, co-host.
Some whiskey?
Friend. I wish. I'm not quite daring enough to go there yet.
Oh, well, I am.
All right. Damn it. Oh, soon.
It's episode 50, man.
Oh my god, it's episode fucking 50.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, we didn't plan shit. We're so good at this. We're so good at this. Oh, man.
I feel like we've warned everyone sufficiently at this point to not get their hopes up.
And yes, you're right. And last week, when I physically couldn't do it, I was like, nah, man, I don't have the strength. I want to make sure episode 50 is good. And then today, it's just like, hey, just a show. Don't worry, guys. We'll try again at 100.
We'll do something really, really cool for like episode 64 or something.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good.
You know what? We should do that. We should buck the trend. We should be the first one of these goddamn podcasts that doesn't just get inexplicably excited around even numbers.
Yeah.
No, fuck 50. 50. Everybody is excited about 50.
Yeah.
For us, it's going to be 64.
Technically still an even number, but I think I understand what you were saying.
63.
So, we didn't have a show last week, and for good reason.
Yes.
I was
Dead.
So, I had what's called acute viral pericarditis.
Oh, it's so cute.
It is, I know, and you could also kind of like call it picarditis, which I really enjoyed. That's actually like it was when I was in the ER. I didn't really take it as serious as I guess I should have, because like the doctor, his name was literally fucking Pham. You know, like Pham, which is a common name, right?
Yeah.
Vietnamese, I think.
Yeah.
And like he comes in, and at first I was like, his name's Pham. Like I want to say like, "What's up, Pham?" And then as the morphine starts to kick in, suddenly it was, "Hey, Pham, what's up, Pham? What's happened, Pham?" Like it was like, and he would come in and I would just say, "What's up, Pham?"
God
and he
damn.
didn't even fucking blink. Like it was just like he didn't. I was thinking.
It's like it's another one of those internet assholes.
Oh yeah, I was thinking how clever I was, right? And he's gonna laugh, and he was just like, yeah, whatever. You know, like he was clearly more concerned about, I guess, my health than anything else, to be amused by my jokes about his last name. But I went in ER Monday morning, super early, like 3 o'clock or so, because after the stream, during the stream, I noticed towards the end I started getting like chest pains. I thought it was like, you know, acid or maybe gas or, you know, something else. I didn't think, oh, this feels like pericarditis or whatever.
This feels like the lining around my heart is trying to kill me.
Pericardium is acting up all of a sudden. You know, yeah, didn't cross my mind. And so it progressively got worse. And then by the end of the show, I was like really snippy with people too, because people were taking forever to. Well, they weren't really taking forever. They were just taking as long as you normally would when playing tabletop simulator to play the role. But I'm just like fucking roll. Roll the fucking dice. Play your fucking card. And then we get it at the end. And then I go to bed and I can't sleep because the pain is like fucking unbearable at that point, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Go to the ER, and I walk in. I could barely fucking walk. And I go in. I'm just like, chest pains, and they're like, "Come on in!" Like that's the secret to getting in very quickly. Apparently, went in and they immediately took blood. They immediately brought in an EKG to see if it was a heart attack, and they just started up with all kinds of stuff. There was no weight whatsoever, and then Pham came in, and of course, He's like, I wonder what it is. I'm just fuck my shit up, fam, right? And he just basically ordered like all the blood tests and all of this, and it was just like fucking nuts. The pain again the whole time was so excruciating, and it did not stay centralized around like my heart. The pain was like from my heart up into kind of like the base of my throat, like kind of your collarbone, and then it wrapped around my shoulders, up into my upper back. It was like I was wearing the serape of pain. It's the best way to describe it, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's a level in Diablo.
And it was so bad I couldn't lay down. I couldn't even lean back. I had to sit up, and I couldn't even keep my head still because even a singular resting position would hurt like a lot.
Wow.
And so I looked like I had early onset Parkinson's or something. I had to keep on, like my head kept moving like constantly. I couldn't stop moving because a resting position hurt, and keeping it bobbing was like the only thing I could do to kind of shift the pain around very quickly. You know, it was fucking insane. The morphine just kind of took the edge off, and believe me, it was a very, very small edge that took off, but it was enough. Still couldn't stop moving and fidgeting. And then he ordered a CT scan, went in. They fucked that thing up, which was just hilarious. So if you've never had a CT scan, it's the big like butthole thing that you kind of like lay down, you slide you into it, right? It sounds like a turbine or something going on in there.
I've had that before, but I did not call it a CT scan.
Oh. Did you call it a butthole thing?
No, I've never done this before in my life.
So they give you like an iodine or something, right? They give you an IV with some kind of iodine or ink or whatever that basically shows up on the scan, so it lets them see all of your innards. And she's like, you're gonna feel a kind of a warm, tingly sensation all over your body when it gets, when they inject you with it. So don't panic or whatever. I was like, okay, cool. And so I'm laying there. She's like, lay still, which first off, I'm laying down. And second of all, still? Jesus, right? Like, she's asking for a lot from me right now. I get in, and they do the thing, and I felt my whole arm gets like super warm. And I'm like, whoa, they weren't kidding. Like, that's crazy. And then I come out, and they're like, we're going to try again. And they put me back in, nothing. And they pull me out, and I'm like, wow, like, my fucking... Like it feels like my whole arm, just my right arm was like really, really warm. And then I come back out, and then they come out from behind their wall thing, and they look at it. They're like, oh, whoops, they didn't put the fucking needle in all the way, so their fucking iodine's like,
oh Jesus,
this shit's going all the way down my arm.
Jesus Christ.
So I was like, I thought it felt like wet and like really warm. I thought that was what you described. And so then I went. So then they fixed it, and then I went back in. And the only thing I'm thinking of is, of course, they're gonna double charge me, right? For however many insertions or whatever. I go in, and this is the part they don't tell you. The warm, tingly sensation is not necessarily all over your body. It is in your asshole. It is. I'm
the fucking worst.
This is a PSA, okay? I'm telling you guys, I'm not ashamed of this. I'm telling you guys this because one day you may have to get a CT scan and somebody will tell you a warm tingling sensation all over your body. No, it is literally just your asshole, right? And it feels like you shit yourself because it's a warm, like almost a moist feeling, and it's just like, did I just shit myself? And so I'm like clenching. Right, and I'm thinking, but I'm also thinking like, I think it'll pull me out, and so I'm sitting here like taking these deep whiffs, like trying to like breathe in, and I can't breathe in because I take a deep breath, my lungs expand, and my heart crushes, and I can't. And so I'm just like freaking out because the nurse is also kind of attractive too. I was like, well, this is it, it's over for me, right?
Yeah.
And so she comes out from around the corner, and I'm thinking, oh god, there's shit everywhere, and there was nothing, and I was like, oh my god, it's just the ink. And so still on morphine, I told her. I was like, hey, so it was just like my butthole that like felt warm and tingly. And she's like, oh. And And that was like pretty much all she said. And then she wheeled me back to. So then she wheeled me back, and I basically sat there for a while, and that was it. Like, a couple hours later, they brought me a very expensive breakfast, and
Damn straight they did.
and then they let me. They released me, and they said, so this is basically what we are like 99% sure you have, and it's not something that it's not any kind of, there's no long-term effects or whatever, usually, and basically you get it's just RNG, like you got a viral infection, it just happened to infect the sac around your heart. Whoops. That's pretty much it. It wasn't a heart attack, I didn't lose any muscle tissue, nothing crazy happened, it was just bad luck. Went home, got a ton of Oxy, and basically chilled on that for a while. I couldn't lay down. I couldn't take deep breaths. I jumped into Discord just to tell people what was going on, and that was like very, very difficult. Even high as fuck on fucking drugs, on painkillers, I still could barely get like even one sentence out without having an issue.
Wait, you went in Discord to talk? You realize there's text chat in Discord, right?
I just wanted to. I needed to. It was like, I think like Jen went to go get food or something like that, and so I snuck upstairs real quick, and I was like, "Hey guys, get in Discord real quick. I'm just gonna tell you guys what happened." And then I got in, and it's like, okay, so I went to the, and then I did. So yeah, it was like days I couldn't even go up the stairs. Like going up the stairs, I had to stop like 2, sometimes 3 times just to take a couple of short breaths. No deep breaths, nothing. No talking. I couldn't do shit for the first like probably 3 days, and then by the 4th, 5th day, like Thursday, Friday, I started to kind of become more of a person. And then over the weekend, I was able to kind of get more, get more mobile and everything. And just like past couple days, I've been able to take deep breaths now. Like I could yawn without feeling like I'm gonna die. And and today I'm feeling like 100%.
Nice.
And so that's it. So that's my.
Well, congratulations on not being dead.
Thank you. It would have sucked right before the 50th episode. I feel like what a cliffhanger that would have been.
Yeah, you really, that's like the ultimate lesson in not getting your hopes up.
Oh yeah, and the bill was $12,959.58.
Yeah, I saw you tweeting about that.
And
good work, America.
Yes, yeah, right. Oh, and one thing she told me that I didn't tweet about actually is, so the hospital called. They're like, yeah, your hospital thinks that you have another primary insurance. I was like, oh god, they think I have ZAM insurance, right? And so I called them up. I was like, no. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have a job right now. And so she's like, okay, so they ran under my wife's insurance, and she's got super good startup insurance, right? Pay for everything. And so that $12,000 dropped down to $200. And what she told me was, she told me the negotiated price, which I guess is the like hospital to insurance companies like special discount price, and it was $6,000.
Yeah, that's the really fucked up thing about the way American healthcare works, is that if you have insurance, not only do you pay less because your insurance pays for it, but it's also way cheaper for the insurance.
Yeah.
And that's why you should have insurance in the United States, because if you don't and you just put that money into a savings account instead, then you still have to pay twice the price for anything that you get.
Pretty much, exactly. Yep. So
good work, America.
Yeah, thank you. Jesus. Thank God we had good insurance. Otherwise, that would have been like, I mean, I don't even know what we would have done. Just not pay it. I guess I don't know. I have no idea what we would have done.
Yeah.
And like, there are people out there who, what would you do if you're in my situation? Sure, it went away on its own, but I was in a fucking excruciating pain for days. Did I just drink my way through it? Like, I have no idea what somebody who didn't have insurance would do to handle this. But yep. So So yeah, I spent a lot of time just basically playing games. Play a lot of games. Beat a couple games. Played some games I never thought I wouldn't have tried if it wasn't for me being strapped to the couch and not able to do anything else. Like Card Hunter, which I just did an indie for breakfast on, which was a game came out like 2015, like a super good CCG slash RPG slash board game. Really, really well done, and it's free to play, and I fucking love every second of it. I'm fucking hooked, and I would not have played it if it wasn't for the fact that I was like down. So I would have put like a couple minutes and be like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Free to play, came out last year, whatever, and moved on.
Nice.
But yeah,
Nice.
so I live again.
Hooray.
Yep.
Speaking of things that live again, apparently, but have also gone through similar near-death experiences. Apparently, Nintendo's coming out with a new console.
Oh man.
So far, it's called the Nintendo NX, and ironically, we know the things that we know at this point about the Nintendo NX are the sorts of things that, like, they're exactly why you would want to wait for an announcement. Like, if they know, if these bits of information are already knowable, then the rest of the information about the system, there's no real reason to hang on to it. So it's a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
But we already know, like, the release date of the console that has not yet been announced. So March 2017, apparently, this is when the Nintendo NX is going to come out. Nintendo not doing so well at the moment. Something like, I'm trying to find the number I saw earlier again. Company's profits are down 61%. And that's off of last year when their profits were already down by some massive amount already. So Nintendo not doing so well at the minute. Now they're starting to let investors know that there's this new console in the works. And we know when it's going to come out, but we don't really know much else about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the rumors are pretty promising. Well, first off, like, I don't know where to be with Nintendo right now, man. Like,
Yeah.
I love Nintendo, but it's because, I grew up with Nintendo like everybody else. It's like,
Yeah.
Nintendo was there when I was a 5-year-old, and it was like, yeah. And so it's like, I want them to make something that I want to buy. I think that's the big thing. Like, I want them to make something else that I actually want to spend money on. I want to give them money.
I really want another GameCube, basically. Like, something that can hit what the GameCube hit.
Yeah.
And actually, like, as soon as I said that, I sort of realized that when I say I want another GameCube out of Nintendo, I'm actually asking for a shittier console than what other people are announcing. So it's like I'll settle for a GameCube at this point. I'd like a Nintendo 64. Like, I'd like to get back to the time when Nintendo was... I'm obviously speaking in comparative terms here, but back to the time when Nintendo was putting out a console that was a big deal, right? Like, this would compete with not just compete with the PlayStation offerings at the time, and Microsoft obviously wasn't around then. It blew Sega. It blew the Dreamcast out of the water, and I guess Sony hadn't really put out anything yet at that time.
Well, they were just
either.
cruising with the PlayStation, so they were in their own good little bubble over there.
Yeah. But the 64 was still a better system than the original PlayStation in terms of hardware.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly. It's been a few days, so my memory's a little bit fuzzy. But yeah, like, I kind of want Nintendo to be able to come out with something really, really awesome. And they just haven't done that in ages. They've sort of become this weird first-party console plus games developer. And that shit just doesn't fly nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of needs to go in one of two directions. Either A, they need to quit fucking around with consoles and just pull a Sega and start releasing their games on other people's consoles, which I would be fine with. Like, I would totally play Zelda or Mario on a PS4. Like, I'm totally down with that. I would love to have some Mario Kart on my PS4. That'd be great.
Oh yeah.
Or they need to actually make a console that's worth buying so that there's other things to play on it. Because right now, you look at the Wii U, and there's like 5 games on it that I would consider like really, really worth playing. Depending on your personal tastes, But considering that everyone's personal tastes are not the same, like the same person that's really into Splatoon, for example, might not be into Mario Maker,
Right.
or the same person that's into Mario Kart might not be into Smash, for example. If you buy a Wii U, there's probably 4 or 5 games on it that you want to play that you can't play on another console.
And that's not enough.
Notably better on another console.
But the Wii U's been out for like, what, 4 years or something?
It has been out for a while, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's dirt ass cheap now. It's like $200 for a Wii U.
But still, like, you're right.
It's
like,
still
there's, like,
expensive,
there's-
but yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
Like, there's,
expensive
like,
for what it is.
for like 4 or 5 games that I would want to get. It's like, that's not worth it. Like the cost there, like, think about like on my PC and I have 500 games, right?
Yeah.
And I would say probably 50 of them are must-haves. You know,
Yeah.
like the cost ratio there is just, it doesn't work out in Nintendo's favor. I'm even at this point thinking it's time to get rid of the PS4. Like I've been saying that for a while. I really think I should just fucking get rid of it. I have a Blu-ray player on the PS3. PS4 still has some kind of value. I could sell it and maybe get whatever Nintendo's coming out with. And that way I feel like it's just a wash.
Or the PS 4.5.
Yeah, yes, or that. I want Nintendo to come out with something that I can spend money on that has, and some of these rumors, like with the cartridge thing, like they're possibly going to the cartridge. Like, just for nostalgia reasons, I think that'd be awesome.
Well, and also like,
discs suck.
Yeah, and optical storage has not really advanced at the rate that magnetic storage has nowadays, or solid state storage has. Like, nowadays you could have a cartridge that is a several hundred gigabyte, even terabyte solid state drive, and you plug that shit in, and that's the game, and that would actually work really, really well. That technology has advanced to at a pretty ridiculous rate. Yep. Whereas a Blu-ray, like, I don't remember exactly what the storage space of a Blu-ray is.
It's somewhere between like 24
gigs?
and 50 or something gigs.
Yeah.
It's basically nothing.
Yeah.
Your phone has more.
So yeah, exactly. So I'm totally cool with the cartridge idea. There's been some people that are theorizing based on supposedly some patent filings that part of the system is a Wii U-like controller that only has a couple of buttons on it, which is interesting and concerning to me at the same time, if it's true. The concerning side of it is that if they are, like, I would not put it past Nintendo at all to be the sort of company that says, hey, you only need 2 buttons for a video game. That's all anybody really wants anyway. You've got this touch screen, so you don't need any more buttons than just those 2.
Well, no, on the Wii U, they had the buttons on the top and the triggers, I think, right?
Yeah.
They have a handful there, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
the patent
Wii U
doesn't show all that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's basically twin sticks, a D-pad, an L and an R button, and then 2 other buttons.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, like, if all of the games have to make heavy use of the touchscreen, then that can work. But if all of the games have to make heavy use of the touchscreen, I'll play them on my phone. Like,
yeah, that's
and that I think is kind of the big challenge that Nintendo has to wrap their head around if they want to get back into the console industry. Is, like, what, 8 years ago when the Wii came out, something like that. Not the Wii U, the Wii.
The Wii. Yeah.
Might even be longer than that. It might be 10 years ago at this point. I don't remember. Long ass time ago, the Wii came out, and that kind of hit at a time where a lot of their target audience didn't have a console yet. Like, they didn't have a console, smartphones hadn't taken off yet, tablets hadn't taken off yet. So for a lot of people, that was kind of this is a fun thing that I can sort of wrap my head around. It's motion controls. That makes more sense to me than a controller. Like, that's in that day and age, the Wii made sense, and that's part of why it did so well. I think a huge reason why the Wii U has done so poorly is, like, its draw is that it has a touchscreen. Like, that's its sort of gimmick, is that it has a touchscreen. Fucking everything has a touchscreen nowadays. Like, I have in my pocket a touchscreen, and by the way, not this phone blows the Wii U out of the water. 2 phones ago was a better device than the Wii U.
Man.
Like, my Galaxy S3 was a stronger device than the Wii U, and that's what's kind of ridiculous about this whole thing. Now, granted, the Galaxy S3 when it came out was a lot more expensive than the Wii U when it launched, but that's sort of the issue. Like, everybody has a phone. Like, I'm not going to not have a smartphone. So you need to be able to convince me that you're like, if I'm going to get a worse experience playing on your console for $200, it doesn't matter that it's only $200 because it's $200 I don't have to spend when I could just play fucking Clash Royale.
Yeah. I want them to make something I'm going to buy, but I think it would be smart at some point to like just license their shit out, like you said, like just license it out. Like I almost want to say, just fucking give it to Disney, like license that shit to Disney. They obviously know what the fuck they're doing with everything that they've acquired.
Disney is on a fucking roll right now.
Yeah, we could have a Super Mario Land at Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's all that shit is possible. Like, yeah, just find some way to license it out and make it happen. Sega did it, and it's the only reason why Sega is still alive. And it's and I think that and Nintendo obviously has plenty of money in reserves from, the Wii was just so fucking massive, and it did so well. I'm sure they have like tons of money in reserves. They could afford to do some of this stuff, but I just don't know if they can compete in the console market anymore. I feel like whatever they come up with, it's got to. I mean, we know it's gonna have another Zelda game. It's gonna have another Mario game. It's gonna have another Mario Kart. It's gonna have Mario Maker 2 or whatever. I don't even know why would they even do that.
Mario Maker, you can make more Marios, guys.
God.
Yeah, like the only reason for a Mario Maker 2 would be if you could really significantly update the graphics or something in it. Like if now it was fully 3D or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yeah, and I think like as a side note, we've mentioned Sega a couple times. The reason why obviously Sega, they are still around. They do still have products.
Mm-hmm.
They do still come out with things. They're not very good, but they do still come out with things. I guess a lot of people like the Sonic All-Stars racing game. I don't know.
Super fucking good.
Is it?
I
downloaded the demo for it on the Wii U. Lol. And I played it, and it was like, okay, this is kind of all right, but I'd rather play Mario Kart.
Yeah, so that's yes. When you don't have access to Mario Kart, it is a really good alternative.
Okay,
makes
sense.
Playing on PC, and so like through my stream link downstairs with like people that come over, like that's a lot of fun. Because I don't have a Wii U, right, or a Wii.
Yeah.
Well, I have a Wii, but no one wants to play Mario Kart, whatever the fuck that is. And so yeah, it's a really great alternative. So if you have it, then if you have it on the Wii U, then yeah, whatever.
Well, that makes sense too, because like, and that's just another reason to not buy a Wii U if you can get almost Mario Kart on your, because it's on like PS4 and Xbox also, right?
Mm-hmm, because they license that, they're okay with like putting the game everywhere.
Yeah,
not
but here's the thing. This is what I was trying to say when I brought up Sega. Like Sega was a company that in their heyday they had a pretty good console at a pretty good price point that a lot of third-party developers picked up, and aside from the like early Sonic platformers up through, I'll say, Sonic and Knuckles, like those were just generally good platformers. There were a fucking million generally good platformers back then.
Mm-hmm. Just like now.
Yeah, exactly. Like Sega hasn't really ever been a company that makes good games. They don't really have they have a few games that are almost good. They have a few games that have like cult status, which is great. Like if you're super into, I don't know, Golden Axe or whatever, like that's totally fine.
Altered Beast,
yeah, like Rise from Your Grave, etc. Like
Rise from Your Grave. That's what he sounds like, isn't it?
Yeah. That's all totally cool. They've made a lot of really quirky, kind of niche interest games in the past. Nintendo makes games that fucking everyone loves.
Yeah.
Like Zelda, everyone loves Zelda. Mario, everyone loves Mario. Fucking Mario Kart, Mario Party. Like even Mario Party, everyone's like, okay, yeah, I guess it is pretty good. I hate all my friends now, but I guess it's pretty good. if Nintendo were to just say, fuck making consoles, we're just going to make our, like, they have such a strong brand and they have such a good development team making these games. It is almost infuriating to me that I have to play these games that are so good on a shitty console. Like, I want to play them on my PS4. I want to play them on my PC. I'll take my Xbone. I'll play them on my Xbone. I don't care. I just want to play this shit on something that isn't a Wii U. So hopefully this is not a Wii U that they come out with.
Yeah, hopefully it's not.
I do find the rumor interesting that it is actually some sort of weird halfway point between the 3DS and the Wii U. Like, that it's a handheld console that you can also have be a home unit. So kind of like, so if you look at the Wii U and think to yourself, man, it'd be cool if I could just take that controller and go wherever the fuck I want with it. That's almost interesting. And as much as I like trash Nintendo for their home console system game, they are still doing really, really well, in my opinion at least, in the portable gaming market. Like, with the exception of the fact that most everybody has a smartphone and is probably playing portable games on their smartphone. Like, I have a Vita. I love my Vita. It is garbage compared to the 3DS. It's not nearly as good. So yeah, it that could be an interesting like way for them to take it and sort of embrace the like it's a handheld console that you can plug into your TV somehow.
All right. So yeah, that's the kicker right there. If it's something you have to plug into your TV, it's done. It's done. There are no wires in a modern living room. Right? Everything is wireless. Like everything is wireless.
Yeah.
No one's the inconvenience of having to do that when it's like, well, I'll just play it on I'll just play it on the screen. Like, why would I run a cable to the TV? I'll just fucking play it on my screen. I'm not gonna bother with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, unless they have some kind of signal send, HDMI send, whatever that's wireless, I don't see anybody really using the plug-in feature.
Yeah, I completely agree. That said, I have a Chromecast. I have two of them. They cost like $30. I don't think that technology is so ridiculous that you couldn't have a dongle that you plug into your TV. A fucking Nintendo dongle.
Yeah.
That you jam into your TV somewhere, and now it works.
They do make HDMI sends, wireless sends. My stepdad has one. He uses it, and it works pretty well. I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what the size of that technology is right now. Because he has it's a box, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm specifically thinking about something that comes with, like, you buy the Nintendo NX, and in the box is the NX and this dongle so that you can plug it into your TV.
Yeah. Nintendo dongle. Yes, exactly.
So speaking of things that everybody had written off but might actually be coming back into the limelight again.
Oh!
By which I mean, speaking of... Actually, that was pretty much just 100% direct comparison. So DayZ 0.60. And I say, so this is significantly less of an everyone had written it off because a lot of people still play DayZ. Like, Shizzle still plays a shit ton of DayZ.
He's a special case.
He seems to hate every minute of it.
Yes, I was going to say, he's a special case.
He does play a shit ton of DayZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, DayZ 0.60. So, I haven't been able to play it yet.
Neither have I.
Not for lack of trying. So, from what I've heard, apparently there's some sort of, like, secret passworded server or something that...
There always is.
Everyone was trying to keep it quiet at first, but then... that's funny. All of the streamers keep getting disconnected and are able to immediately get right back in. That's strange. They must be so like, no, there's some sort of passworded server somewhere. And yeah, there always is. Like that's been Bohemia's game plan from the beginning with this. So it should not come as a surprise to anybody.
What I will say though, real quick, is a lot of players are super salty about that.
Oh yeah.
They're like crazy salty, and I don't say anything because on Reddit because it just get downvoted because it's the DayZ subreddit, right?
Yeah.
No, my circle jerk. But the thing is like, let's say there's, I don't know, 50 people, 50 streamers on this special streamer only server. They are taking up 50 whole slots out of the how many slots are available. Because right now there's a lot of servers that are available. Not everyone could get on because there's issues or whatever, but there's plenty of, let's just say there's 500 people playing, right? It's probably more than that. Let's say 500. 10% of that you can actually watch and see what it looks like, on a stream. If it wasn't for that 10%, you would not see it at all.
Oh yeah.
So it's something that I think it's a necessary thing. Make room for them, let them play. People who can't get in, like us, will at least be able to watch.
Yeah, I have no issue whatsoever with the streamer only server. That's a really, really smart move for them. Mm-hmm. Completely on board with that. A lot of people I think what happens is people see someone streaming and they go, well, if in their head for whatever reason, they like to make up this situation in which they would be in if it wasn't for that streamer.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, if only Bohemia had opened up those 60 slots to the public, then I'd be in. Newsflash, asshole. There are a lot more than 60 people trying to log in right now. So, yeah, I don't think that 60 extra people is not going to make a dent. Right. It's not going to make any noticeable difference whatsoever. All that's really happening is exactly what you just said. Like it means that people can actually see the game, they can actually see the changes, and can have some semblance of an experience despite the fact that they're not able to get in themselves. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. People, I'm gonna take a moment here to whine about this because it happens. I don't know if you know, but there's this World of Warcraft expansion in development right now. It's in alpha, and there's a lot of people that are like, "Bro, you only gave it to streamers." No, we did. There are thousands of people, and I don't know the exact number. There are tens of thousands of people in the alpha, and maybe like a couple hundred of those are streamers.
And that's just generous.
Yeah,
the generous couple hundred.
When you go to Twitch and you see streamers streaming the alpha and then conclude because the only people on Twitch streaming the alpha are streamers, then you are a dumbass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, but I'm completely on board with that.
Yes.
My issue is that there are like 10 other servers at all.
Yeah, no, there's how many when I got on and I checked, there was initially there was only 20. And then when I checked again, it looked like there was more like 40. Couldn't connect to any of them, actually, of course. But I think the biggest issue that a lot of people have is they're treating it. It's probably one of the most. It's in the DayZ community. It's one of the most. It is like the most anticipated anything that the DayZ community has been presented with and been hyped up about to come at us. So for it to come and then stop on the doorstep, right? Essentially. Everyone wants to let it in and just be like, no, just come in, please come in, party, let's go, drink. No, it's got to stay there first and, actually work out the kinks and knock, whatever. It needs to actually be tested and everyone wants it now. And it's because, I've seen screenshots. Kimmy K was in there and she shared about the screenshots. I've seen the videos. People are saying that they're getting way better frame rates. So getting 45 to 60 FPS in Cherno. And it's wow. And the screenshots are showing me it's not some shitty Cherno. It's overgrowth everywhere. Go ahead.
Can I interject for a second and say how ridiculous it is that we're excited about 45 frames per fucking second?
I know. And it could potentially get better.
I did the same exact thing. I heard that. I was like, oh, fucking 45 frames per second in Cherno? That's amazing. It's buttery smooth. What more could anyone ever ask for? A reasonable frame rate, but still,
that. Yes, this is the best we've ever had
for DayZ. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's huge. That was when I first got into Hizzy. I felt like I was gonna cry when I got in and I had all these frames. I was like, yeah, it's like DayZ but with frames. It was amazing. Yeah. I felt so good. I was like, yay, I could play this game. And
that was and then the issue was it wasn't DayZ.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was what we want. They got all the base building shit, which kind of wrecked the game early on, and then I don't know, they've been doing all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah.
The King of the Kill or whatever they're calling it seems to be moderately interesting. But it's another one of those games that you see a lot of streamers going, God damn it, I wish I could stream anything else, but people only watch me for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it would have been smart for them to spin up more servers for, like, not a ton more, just some more servers for this thing. Because what's happened is, and please do correct me if I'm wrong on this one. But from what I've been told, I haven't been paying a ton of attention to the DayZ experimental servers. But it sounds like they just have the same, like there's just a set number of experimental servers. And it's just the same number. And they just went, okay, yeah, we'll just put it on these same experimental servers that we've been using, which have been a ghost town because nobody's really been paying attention to experimental builds up until now. Well,
most of the live servers were
much.
ghost towns, too.
Well, yeah, exactly. And now this 6.0 build hits, and they're like, okay, now everyone wants to play this. I think it would have made sense for them to bring up 20 more servers. I believe, in my heart of hearts, I believe that they could afford to spin up 20 more servers for 6.0 experimental.
Take
and then
some
that
of those
way,
live servers that nobody's touched forever. And
yeah,
then
exactly.
put them on an experimental build.
Yeah, like there has to be DayZ servers that are the official DayZ servers that have had sub 5 people playing on them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be. If not, then well, great. I'm glad that their official servers are doing well. They still should have been able to come up with some more servers and spin them up. And the biggest reason I say that, it would not have fixed the problem whatsoever with people not being able to get in. Like, that's going to be an issue no matter what. But at least from a community sentiment perspective, that's like, okay, we're trying. And they did go in and bump up all the 50. There was 50 out of 50 at first, and now everything is 60 out of 60. So they let a whole, like, 80 more people into the game or something. Yeah, I think it would have been a good move for them to just bring up a few more servers and then been like, okay, look, this is all that we can support in our development timeline. Realistically, we know that you guys want to play this. As soon as it's in testing, as soon as it's stable enough to put on more servers, we'll do that or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think there are ways to have handled this that would have gone over a little bit better. That said, I totally understand how shit like this happens too. Like, oftentimes when you are a developer trying to develop a video game, the last thing on your mind is, well, how can we get a whole bunch of people into our unreleased content?
Yeah, I want to play it. I do want to play it really bad.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Like, I just want to get in there and see if I get that vanilla DayZ feeling again. You know,
yeah.
Just long periods of nothing happening and then dead.
Yeah.
After scavenging up some beans and maybe a flashlight and a flare.
It's so crazy how much I've been craving that, like, vanilla DayZ experience again lately. Like, there was so much that, and I understand why my particular way that I enjoyed the game is not what everyone enjoyed about the game, but it's one of those, like, when you were in on, and like, I enjoyed DayZ for those sort of, like, I've been running around, I found a hatchet, I've got a hat, I really don't want to lose my hat.
Yes,
and I heard somebody, so now I'm going to hide in this corner with my hatchet and hope that they don't have a gun. And this is the most tense moment I've ever had in my entire life as I'm sitting here. I still remember, like, I was just wandering around Electro for some reason. I didn't realize it was even Electro at the time. I was just wandering around Electro. And I found my way into the church in Electro, and I was like, okay, oh man, I found a backpack. This backpack is amazing. Oh, it's got 3 more slots on it or something like that. And then I heard someone drive up, and I was like, oh. They have a vehicle. They must be armed to the teeth. I must hide in this corner with my guns just pointed at the thing. And then eventually I heard them leave, and I was like, okay, well, I hope they went far enough. So yeah, that sort of feeling, it's tough, man. Like, and like live DayZ, you still kind of get some of that, but there's just so much weird with it, and I feel like the mod is still running on Arma 2, which runs like shit.
Yeah.
So, like, as much as I miss like the feeling of those days, I really don't miss trying to play a game at 10 frames per second.
Yes, exactly.
When
you're out in the field.
Yeah, exactly.
25 frames per second. Yes.
Yeah. I really want DayZ 6.0. It seems like it's a lot of really, really good steps forward for it. And hopefully it will be playable by the time I get back from England.
Yep. Speaking of vanilla experience.
Oh, God.
Just kidding. That's old news now, isn't it?
It is kind of old news
I think
now.
It's old news now.
Yeah, J. Allen Brack put out a statement, and that is the current statement. And I have no idea what's going on with that otherwise.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Made the list for controversial game shit so far this year. Pretty high up there too. It's right up there with Tracer's butt.
Yeah. Man, Blizzard's doing well. God, I watched earlier today, I don't know why, but earlier today I watched a 20-minute video by one of the guys from Extra Credits, the like narrator guy from Extra Credits. He has like an extra thing, he calls it like extra frames or something, because he is not very creative with his show names. And it was like what was I saying?
It was the it was extra frames, the poses or something.
Yeah, it was about poses. It was 20 minutes of let's talk about why Tracer's butt doesn't make sense. And it's like, okay, like I understand that he had a point that he wanted to make about like animation and poses, and it made sense, and it was a good point. But god damn it, man, this was 3 sentences. He says on a podcast.
Yep. Meanwhile, I was flipping through r/gaming news or games, I think, and one of the top things in the past week was somebody falling around Widowmaker, looking at her butt. It was like a 10-second GIF of just falling around Widowmaker, just looking at her butt. It's like, all right, well, hey, at least there's still some booty in Overwatch, I guess. I don't know.
The thing with Tracer's butt. For some people, the thing was like, don't get me wrong. For some people, the thing was, oh my god, she has a butt. I don't want to see a butt. I'm afraid of butts. For the reason that it was changed is because the look, I'm strong and confident and sexy pose didn't make sense for Tracer. That's not who Tracer is. Makes total sense for Widowmaker, right? Did not make sense for Tracer.
Right.
There we go.
I agree. I agree with that. I do kind of feel like there was a little bit of like kind of a, oh, what am I gonna tell my child? It's like, fuck you, parent, goddammit. Like there's part of me saying that, but at the same time, it's like, it is a pretty shitty pose. So yeah. Whatever. It's still there. Guys. New pose is better.
Yeah, the new pose is literally from a pinup. So.
Yes, it is a direct copy. It was perfect. Yep.
So yeah, Tracer, she has a butt. And if you want to look at her butt, I'll give you a tip. Just back up to a wall and do an emote.
Insider tips.
Insider butt tips.
This is what you do at Blizzard all day.
I mean, yeah. I usually do it with Roadhog, though.
Oh, God. I tried playing him again the other night. No. I can't do it. He just does not feel right to me.
He's definitely different than a lot of characters, but he is like he's almost like a fighting game character in a sense, where he has a combo, and if you nail that combo, you kill anyone. Mm-hmm. It's like you do his right click, which is the delayed blast explosion. You aim that at somebody, obviously. You're not just shooting it off into nowhere. You aim it at somebody, you fire it off, as that projectile is traveling, you hit your hook. So you grab them, you hold them in place, because there's that like tenth of a second where they hold in place when the hook hits them. The delayed blast explosion goes off and hits them and does a fuck ton of damage. You reel them in, you do the left click, which does another shotgun blast to the face, and then you immediately do a melee. And all told, it's like 450 damage. And any non-tank it instantly kills. Any tank is pretty fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, Roadhog only has like 600 health, I think.
Yeah, only. He's got the most health of any character.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's like, you're right. That's a total. That guy's fucked. I mean, 150 health left. That's if you got him like fresh. Yeah, no, it's done.
And also, you could have done this to the Zenyatta in the corner, and like characters like Zenyatta or Tracer or even like Pharah and Genji, like you don't even need the first explosion. You just hook them and then shoot in melee,
mm-hmm.
and they're dead. That's why he's fun. That's why I like him.
Right,
so speaking of Overwatch, we can kind of, since we're talking about it already anyway, maybe we just mention that it's coming out pretty soon. It's in open beta right now. I love every time a new wave of a ton of new players that have never played Overwatch gets into Overwatch and can play it, because there's such a predictable pattern in the feedback at this point.
Yes, there is.
It's so amazing. Everybody gets in, and they're like, what the fuck? Bastion's overpowered.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's so funny. Like, you get in, Bastion's overpowered. God, how have they not nerfed Bastion yet? And then as they continue playing, I don't think for open beta it's short enough that they may never get to stage 2. But what happens eventually is you figure out how to kill Bastion, and you figure out that if a Bastion's just sitting in one spot, turreting the entire time, he's actually really easy to kill.
Yep.
There's so many ways to deal with that. And then all of a sudden it's Bastion's worthless.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where people figure out how to pick up and move as Bastion. And then all of a sudden Bastion's overpowered again. It's so funny.
And this is what happens with games that go into beta. Like initially, when the very first tech alpha, whatever came out, it was Pharah. Pharah was OP. Because it was like, oh my god, I'm just out there, and all of a sudden I'm dead. And then once it registered, fire rains from above, or whatever, death rains from above.
Yeah, it means hide.
Yeah, hide or look up and shoot. And
exactly.
And it's funny how these little tells that freshies you get in, and it's like, oh, you figured out, okay, now great, now that meta of Pharah being OP is gone, just like that, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, somebody else takes the reins as OP. The meta shifts.
Yeah.
And it just
it's McCree is OP or whatever. I can't believe he can do so much damage from that long of a range.
It's high noon. What's that coming from?
Hang on. Is it high noon? Let me look up and see.
And so the meta shifts all over the place, and every beta, the first day, it's always like that. It's always, why is this OP? Why is this whatever? The only one thing I do have an issue with, and it may not, it could actually kind of iron itself out. There's the map where you're coming out of like a deployable like a APC type thing or whatever, and it's like an Egyptian style setting. I don't know the name of the map, but do you know what I'm talking about? You basically have to like
Temple of Anubis.
Yeah. So you have that first choke point right there.
Yeah.
That you have to make it through, and it's like, fuck. If they are even the slightest bit coordinated in that they know how to play a video game, you're fucking trapped. Like you're probably going to be trapped there. That choke point was there at the very beginning, and it's still there as of last night, and I fucking hate that choke point.
Yeah. But that said, there are ways to get around that choke point.
Yes.
So what you need is either a good Tracer or a good Reaper, or a good Reinhardt with a bunch of damage behind him.
Yes.
There's multiple ways to push your way through a choke point. And half the time, it's just, do you have a Winston? Okay, what's going to happen is your Winston's going to jump in there. He's going to be a big angry monkey for a while. And while he's being a big angry monkey, the rest of you move in and kill everybody. And all it takes is one push like that. Also, Junkrat, really good in situations like that.
That's true. Yeah, we tried the Reinhardt thing. I think we just didn't have the deeps behind it. Plus, they were doing a really good job of just having a couple people hold the choke, and then having a couple of kind of like medium support kind of come out just harassing and keeping us from really being able to move in. They were more coordinated. We were a pre-made, so they were probably a pre-made too. And so they were probably just a bit more coordinated than we were, but still, it was just like, fuck.
Yeah,
it was just infuriating. I'm sure, but it's just another example of something that will, basically iron itself out. You're right, like a Reaper. You teleport behind them, start fucking shotting them up, and just boom. Now you take out their Widowmaker, you take out their Bastion, and now suddenly you can walk through the gates.
Yeah. The trick is you just need somebody that can get themselves into that side corridor to the left, and then once you're in there, you are a major problem for everyone trying to set up at the choke point.
So, yeah, that's next week, isn't it?
I think if I remember correctly, this is the 25th is the official launch.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. So then it's after Doom.
Yes.
Which is good.
I've heard very mixed things about Doom so far.
What have you heard?
Okay, so I haven't heard much about the single player. I've heard that the multiplayer is not good.
I've heard that the multiplayer is okay. It does have its quirks, but it's not bad. But I also have read that people don't like it, or for whatever reasons, like the animations or whatever, or it feels too much like Halo or something, or it basically is Halo. But yeah, I've heard mixed reviews. I've not heard anybody come out and say it's the best multiplayer.
Yeah, one of the guys that I know from work, who I generally trust his opinion on video games, canceled his pre-order over the multiplayer beta.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, well, this was the only thing I was interested in, and I don't like it, so he canceled his pre-order.
So, I will say that Doom multiplayer always sucked.
That's fair, actually.
And it's not an excuse, but we shouldn't come into that as saying we expected it to be better,
Yeah.
It's not,
thinking about it, like Doom 3, I don't remember anybody ever even talking about Doom 3 multiplayer, if it even had it. Like, that's to the extent to which no one ever talked about it.
No one ever talked about it.
Yeah. And you think like Doom and Doom 2, which came out at almost the same time, back in the days when a sequel to a game came out 6 months after the game. Like Doom 2 was a game that was popular for multiplayer in that brief period of time before Duke 3D really took off and before Quake really took off. And you also had to be the sort of person that was like either had some friends that would play on LAN or was willing to install Kali.
Right. Or dial up, like just straight dial up, and that's
just straight dial up.
In that
and you
case,
could do 1v1.
1v1, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you didn't have the ability to look up and down in the original Doom. So.
That's true too.
So what would happen is if you fire a rocket or something, you're on a different level, it would automatically shoot up towards that person. So it was just hokey. There were tons of other games that came out, like you said, like right after that. Rise of the Triad, Duke Nukem, Quake, even Marathon for the Mac users. All these were superior to Doom in terms of that. Doom 2 was way, in my opinion, at the time, was more known for its co-op. Co-op was fucking awesome in Doom 2. And it was just for some reason the best experience ever, going through these hordes of dudes of monsters or whatever, like with a buddy, and it just worked. The first person to get to the exit, then boom, you're out. So you clear the level no matter where you're at. So if you're getting hammered, someone could go running for the exit, you hit the switch, and that's it, you're safe. Co-op Doom 2 was like the best. So I'm not too concerned personally about multiplayer. It might be something I go in and check out and play a little bit, but I'm personally more. I'm hoping that this single player campaign can deliver And I don't know what to expect from it, honestly. Like, you played Doom 3 single player, right?
No, I haven't actually.
Uh,
I was never really interested in it.
so
Like, yeah.
it was so at the time. Doom 3 was a fucking scary game when it first came out because at the time there was not a lot of like Amnesia the Dark Descent or whatever was not a thing then, you know?
Yeah.
Like so this was the horror like shooter game of like that period. It was really dark and the biggest thing was before the mod, you couldn't use your flashlight and your pistol at the same time,
Which was weird.
which is super weird. Yeah, and it just added to the. I mean, I was sitting in my apartment alone on my fucking CRT playing Doom 3 and just like being like I turned off the light just kind of enhance it, right? And I just like fucking freaking out at some of these parts because it was a scary game, and then there was action kind of intertwined, and eventually it kind of repetitive and it kind of didn't work out. But initially, when it first started out, it was a very good experience. It wasn't a Doom experience. Doom was basically like you run through in like horde mode almost, right?
Yeah.
Ish. There's a lot of like corridors, and it's about finding secrets. It's about finding the shotgun in the first level or whatever. Hitting a trigger and like releasing all these mobs that you whoops there's not suddenly a whole lot of guys here. That's what I expect from Doom, from this new Doom. And I saw the single player video, so it's like it looks like it might be pretty good, but I mean I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I want it so bad to be good, the single player. And actually, do we know if there's co-op?
I do not.
That's actually something I don't know. I should have looked that up. I will look that up. Doom co-op. Won't feature co-op. Well, that fucking sucks. Number one thing.
Balls.
Yep. I would actually go back and play Doom 2 co-op right now. If anyone's down. I'm down.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
Not right this second, but let's
Okay.
do it.
We'll do it later.
Yeah.
After we get onto that DayZ server.
So we've already been going for like an hour, but I do want to talk about this thing because it's kind of amazing. So speaking of Doom, by which I mean speaking of the concept of an inescapable, terrible fate, by which I mean speaking of ContentID on YouTube. By which I mean speaking of the devil, by which I mean speaking of ContentID on YouTube.
Yes.
So this is actually kind of amazing. News is a couple of weeks old now, so it's circulated a little bit, but it's still worth talking about. This guy, Jim Sterling, who is he's a you love him or you hate him, or you hate him but you watch his shit anyway sort of YouTuber.
Right.
He found a bizarre workaround to ContentID, which for him works out pretty well. So part of his thing,
exactly.
Yeah. So part of his thing is he doesn't want ads on his videos. Like I think he just runs a Patreon, and his whole thing is just do the Patreon. Don't worry about the ads on the videos. It's something that can work for some people. Obviously, is not everyone's.
He pulls in
best
10
option.
Gs, 10 Gs from his Patreon, so he could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like
And
there's a point where that works.
He's probably not partnered, because like so if I tried to turn off ads on YouTube, I think Polaris after a couple of days, whatever, will turn them all back on.
Okay, makes sense. So yeah, he doesn't want ads on any of his videos on YouTube, which fair enough. The problem is that because ContentID is garbage, he will occasionally get hit by strikes based on footage for some game or another, where then the original creator, or someone who's not the original creator but has submitted a ContentID match because they're jackasses, will get credit for some of the content in his video, and then that will put ads on it. So what he's been doing is he actually will splice in footage from games like Metal Gear Solid 5 or Grand Theft Auto 5 or Beyond Two Souls, And so, like, what would happen is normally, like, so specifically he was talking about, this is something that happened with his Star Fox video. And he was really angry about Star Fox, did not like it at all. Seems like that's generally the common consensus on the Star Fox at this point. But he said, basically what's going to happen is he's going to release a game he's going to release a video about a Nintendo game. Nintendo is going to try to put a Content ID match against it because that's how Nintendo tends to operate. So in order to fight that, he put in footage from a bunch of random other games into it. And all of those other games were also they were also from people that he knew were going to attempt to send a Content ID match. And by having multiple Content ID strikes against the same video, it just breaks the monetization entirely, and no ads are played. And so for him, this actually works, because what his end result is, he doesn't want ads on his video. He doesn't want ads for Nintendo on his video. He doesn't want ad revenue going to Nintendo based off of his video. So he just put a whole bunch of other fucking videos, or other fucking game footage, into his video, just spliced it in random spots, and that just broke Content ID.
It's genius.
Almost the day after, I actually think it was the day after that hit Kotaku, YouTube came out and did this, like, hey, we're going to improve Content ID. It's going to be so much better now. And so their big change for Content ID is that when there is a Content ID strike against a video, and then you dispute that, all of the money from that goes into, like, this holding. Basically, YouTube just hangs on to all the money in the meantime. There's like, hey, I guess we'll just keep this for now. And so while that dispute is going on, all of the right now, or previously, before these changes, what would happen is, like, say I put out a video on Star Fox, Nintendo puts a Content ID match on that. Nintendo is now getting all of the ad revenue from that video until I can successfully make a counterclaim and say, no, this is my video, I'm using this under fair use, etc.
Yep.
And then I can start to earn monetization off of that. I can start to earn ad revenue off of that. The change is that when that claim is placed, as long as you dispute it, as soon as you dispute it, all that money goes into this separate, like, escrow, basically. And then once the claim is resolved, if they decide that, yes, okay, I do actually have, this is actually working under fair use, I am allowed to earn all this money, then I get all the money, all the ad revenue that I would have earned until then. And if Nintendo wins it, then Nintendo gets all the ad revenue that would have been earned in that meantime. So that is a good change. But it doesn't fix Content ID at all.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. So it doesn't fix it. But this is a major step forward. Obviously, a lot of people that listen to the show are probably pretty savvy to the way that videos on YouTube work. But if you're not, the first day of that video being posted is pretty much your moneymaker. Yeah. Unless it gets posted somewhere else and it goes viral, whatever, all that aside, if it just goes up to your channel and gets sent to your subscribers, that first 24 hours that's your money. And then after that, it's like 30%, and then 15%, and then like 1%. Like, it just tapers off to nothing very, very quickly after like 3 days, pretty much tops.
Yeah, there will usually be some residual income from, like, I still get checks from Google every so often.
Yeah. You're gonna, if you have enough videos, you'll have enough, pennies coming in to equal $1.
Yeah.
So the problem with, and I've seen it happen too, like ad rev for rights holder. It's like, what is this, like, generic ad rev for rights holder just taking money from some of my videos? It's, well, I fight for it, and then it comes back to me, well, it's too late. The video's already up. And so what I've been doing is when I post a video, if it gets flagged, I will not release it. I just will not release it until they basically they remove the Content ID on it. It hasn't happened often. Basically, it's like, a game soundtrack or whatever. Like, maybe the dev didn't discuss it with the composer that, maybe they shouldn't put it through Content ID. And so that's something I have to wait, especially when CD Baby pops up, which is one of the Content ID companies for distributors for composers and musicians and such. So I have to wait for them to approve it, basically, and then I'll release it. This is great because I can just release it.
Yeah.
And knowing that I'm going to win the fight.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you do have to make the dispute pretty quickly. Like, if you release it and a claim happens at hour 1 and you don't make the dispute until hour 10, then hours 1 through 10 they just got the money for it. Like, that money just gets paid directly until you actually put in the dispute. Which is still garbage. In my opinion, they should like give you some amount of time. Like, say, okay, a claim has been placed. You have 24. We're going to immediately start to hold the revenue from this for 24 hours. If you don't make a dispute within 24 hours, then we go ahead and. But yeah,
No, they have 30 days.
It is.
It's a 30 days. So if I file a counterclaim to a content ID, then the recipient of that has 30 days to respond.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
what can happen right now is you can put up a video and then some random jackass decides to put a content ID strike against it, and they place that content ID claim. They get all the ad revenue that is that the video earns from the time between when they place the claim and when you actually file the dispute.
Right.
So if you're out to dinner and your video gets 20,000 views in that span of time, you don't get any of that money ever.
That is true. It's a half step, but it's, as somebody who, would drop everything, I would just take the video down if that happened, right? If I'm gone. But typically I'm here to catch them when they happen.
Yeah. It still doesn't really make Content ID a good system. And I think the big thing that a lot of people don't really... So, Content ID is something that YouTube does because YouTube wants to do Content ID. It's not fulfilling any legal requirements whatsoever. If anything, it's them finding a way to not quite fulfill legal requirements.
Or to avoid legal issues.
Yeah, exactly. So the big thing that people tend to point to when they talk about Content ID is the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. I am fortunate, having now worked at Blizzard, I'm actually very familiar with the DMCA, and I tend to be involved in things that do involve the DMCA, particularly on YouTube and Twitch, just because that's kind of my background, and so that's just where I ended up with it. Obviously, we have a legal team. I'm not the legal team, so obviously we have a legal team that does handle all the actual legal side of things. I'm just relatively closely related to it, and I get to see what's going on a lot of the time. On Twitch, if I as a publisher want to say, hey, this guy is abusing our copyright, and they're not authorized for whatever, the DMCA is super loose, and there's still issues with the DMCA and people being able to say, essentially, I don't want this video on the internet. It has my IP in it. Take it off of the internet, and that's a problem. That said, if a streamer is say a streamer is streaming something that's under NDA, or they've gotten a hold of like some developer build of the game or something that they're not supposed to have access to, and they know they're not supposed to have access to it, and the publisher knows that they have the rights to, like, obviously it's their IP, they have the rights to that IP, then the publisher there's just a form that you fill out that you say, hey, this is the content they're infringing, this is their Twitch channel, we would like to issue a legal DMCA notice against this Twitch channel, and then Twitch will take it down for 24 hours. That's how that works. On YouTube, you need to... So there's two ways you can go about doing it. One of them is that you can similarly fill out a whole series of forms, which they will then at some point theoretically take a look at. We've never actually gotten that to work. So like, yeah, that process is there's recently we found a channel that had just re-uploaded a whole bunch of the VODs from the Arena World Championship last year. Right. And those are all just available on our actual channel. They just cut them slightly differently and re-uploaded them. And so we're like, okay, these guys are literally just copying our content. And like, when you're an esport, you need to be able to understand how many people are watching. You need to have access to all the analytics behind it. So we were like, we would rather that this doesn't exist, so that way we can have access to all the analytics and we know what's going on, who's watching this video, etc. Also, it's our content. I feel like it's a fair claim to say, like, if someone on YouTube just re-uploaded all of your indie for breakfast, I think you'd probably be pretty upset about that.
Oh yeah, no, I've had those issues before, and yeah.
It's so your options are A, you can go through a whole big annoying process in which you file a claim to submit a D or something like that. Like, they don't have a designated direct DMCA process, which makes it very, very annoying to actually file a DMCA notice with YouTube, which means that most publishers end up trying to use the Content ID system instead and say, okay, well, we'd like to issue a Content ID match on our esports broadcast. The problem with that is the Content ID system is such garbage that now other people that are doing their own tournaments that are not our tournament, they're not our VODs whatsoever,
Yeah, they're getting hit.
They're still getting hit, and so we don't want to do that either. So fucking Content ID is a garbage piece of shit system, and I hate it, and I really wish YouTube would stop trying to like police shit themselves because they're bad at it. Just let us do it, okay? I'm a little bit salty about this.
Wow, man. Well, I mean, I was just gonna let you go. Jeez. Woo.
Well, it's so fun. Like, I fully expected, like, coming from the YouTuber side of things and starting to work at Blizzard, I was like, okay, yeah, I hate Content ID because it's just a way for publishers to oppress the YouTuber.
Yeah.
And now I'm working for a developer, and I'm like, God damn it, fucking Content ID. It doesn't work for them either.
Well said. Broken on both ends.
It's just, yeah, I don't know who it's made. Like, it doesn't work for YouTube either. All it does is make YouTube not make money on things. I have never seen a company hate making so much money so much as YouTube.
All right.
I'd like to deeply apologize to anyone who is either works at Google on the Content ID system. Maybe this is your life's work. I'm sorry that I called it garbage. I'm also sorry that you've made terrible choices with your life decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I think that whoever that is probably hasn't listened to an episode past the time that we ripped Twitter gaming or YouTube gaming a new one.
Yeah, there was that too.
Yeah, there was that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not friends, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
So
anyway,
I'm pretty sure that YouTube, Twitter. I think Twitter gaming and the YouTube gaming one's probably still just tweeting out gifs and adding like random esport people. Hey, happy birthday, or hey, whatever.
We talked about Twitter gaming, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's hard to tell because it's so identical to the way that the Twitter side of YouTube gaming, right? Their Twitter accounts, and then Twitter gaming basically come out into the same thing.
Yeah, like. Twitter gaming was Twitter looking at YouTube gaming and going, that seems like a good idea.
Oh, man. Yep. So, hey, episode 50, man.
Yeah.
We made it. We finally made it.
We did make it.
When did we do episode 1? So episode 1, don't get your don't stop believing. Hopes up.
Don't stop getting your hopes up.
No, that's not going to be it. I'm curious now. Oh, here it is right here. Right in front. November 25th, 2014. So we haven't quite hit a year's worth of episodes. And it's taken us a year and a half.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. That's less bad than I thought it would be.
Yeah. I was thinking it would be like 2 years or something. So,
yeah.
Hey, we did pretty good, man.
Yeah, wow, we've only been doing this for a year and a half. It feels like ages.
Hey, there's like another show. It says, Yo, Hope, keep your hopes up, episode 1.
Oh, we have a rival.
Keep your hopes up.
Quick, issue a Content ID strike.